Dun, 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 dun. Welcome, friends and companions. Sci-fi and fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport. We don't do politics and religion. Remember that. We are called Random because we will discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books, and music. So, my normal voice is coming back. Hello, Random, because we will broadcast on non-fixed times, actually on many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is, and then still need to subscribe to spell correctly. I see in my banner. Oh, I learned. Random also, because we have no guests or different guests. And today we have a very special guest. He is very familiar on this channel, is a good beloved friend and companion for this channel. And I will bring him soon on. But first, some introduction. It depends who wants to join me in the live stream panel. If you want to join me in the live stream in the future, feel free to contact me via Discord and YouTube, and we will look what is possible. So you are very welcome. Um, Further on, Discord is called Random Entertainment Channel. Tech Doctor Who, or you can tech Star Wars, Marvel, music, and okay, for different things. We are now in the current series about the companions of the Doctor, and I have a playlist on my YouTube channel page. You can see all the previous companions of the previous Doctors. So we have part two of the companions of the 10th Doctor, Martha Jones, Donna Noble, and Wilfred Mott. The first live stream of the companions of the 10th Doctor was about the Rose, Tyler, Jack Harkness, and Mickey Smith. Yes. And today we talk about Martha Jones, Donna Noble, and Wilfred Mott. And I can do that without Sadeko. Hello.
Oh, hello. What are you
Hello.
doing?
Oh, good. You?
I'm good. Is my sound okay?
Yeah, you sound okay. Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So we're halfway into Tenant then.
It's the David Tennant.
Yes. Yeah. Mhm. Like the Avatar, by the way. You got to
Yeah,
like
the previous
keep
live stream
going.
with Rose Tyler and Jake Harkness, and we will continue now part two, because the 10th Doctor has many companions, so we have to
Mhm.
split it into.
Yes.
So the previous live stream was about Rose Tyler and Jake Harkness, and about
Mickey.
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 Yes,
Mickey.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and today we talk about Martha, and also about Donna Noble and Wilfred Mott. And yeah, it's
Mhm.
also good to say that Donna Noble is also the companion of the 14th Doctor, so same face. And so there's not much to talk about, especially about Donna Noble. But we first kick off with Martha Jones.
Yes. She's a
We
medical
see her in
student.
the first.
Oh, she. Oh, no.
Yes.
She's 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 working in a hospital, but I believe she's actually doing medical exams on the side. So she's still kind of almost in a kind of trainee position, isn't she?
Yeah, that's right.
And she comes
Yeah,
from a very big family. Like
yeah, that's
I do remember Rose was a she brought her family into the show. Her family kind of appeared quite a lot in the show.
yeah.
And in the past in Classic Who, we'd sometimes see the family of a companion. Like we saw Victoria, we saw Victoria's father, we saw the his father knew some he had associates who had families of their own, so you kind of saw there was a family unit to in Evil of the Daleks, but you didn't really see him again. He her father was killed off in that story. And it's the same with Nissa in Keeper Tracken. We see Nissa's family, but only the once. Whereas with Rose, we actually we're shown a family, and they make returning appearances in the show when they have to kind of they're distrustful of the Doctor because they think she's been abducted by the Doctor. They don't know who he is, and so there's kind of implications from that the show looks at. And I think by the end when Rose left, we thought, okay, well, that's the end of that soap opera. And then it was announced that Martha was going to get her family, and she did.
Yep.
She had a father, a mother, and brother and sister. She had she was like, yeah, we're going to get a lot of that kind of soap stuff in her era.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
This character is played by Freema. Still, her last name is Ajiman. Yes.
Ajiman, yeah.
This is seen in Martha Jones's introduction in series 3 of Doctor Tenure.
Yeah.
Yes, we seen her in the first story. We seen her in a hospital. That was a likely good kick off of series 3 because they all disappeared and appeared on the moon.
Yeah, there's a particular, I forget the name. There was a particular criminal that the alien intergalactic criminal that the Jaduna looking for,
Yeah.
and it's basically being housed in the hospital, this London hospital, and it's in the guise of this seemingly harmless old woman, but she's actually this alien blood-sucking creature, and like an alien vampire, if you know what I mean. And the Jaduna are kind of looking to hunt her down to execute her, but in order to do that, they have to teleport the hospital to the moon because the moon is kind of neutral territory. It's like they can't do the operation on Earth because that's classed as illegal. So they kind of get around that by teleporting everyone to the moon and doing the operation there.
It was by the way the Plasma 4. Plasma 4.
Plasma 4, yeah, that's it, yeah. Yeah.
It was an old woman in that story. When I'm looking for that Plasma 4. She was consuming blood to be for her life energy.
Yes, and the Doctor's in the hospital as well for some odd reason. And like he's worried because the Jaduna looking for an alien.
Yeah.
He has to try and he has to kind of pass on his DNA imprint to Martha so that he doesn't get tagged. So basically he basically snogs her and says, sorry, this means nothing, but so basically kind of passes on to her by a kiss with tongue. And of course, of Martha, she's got this crush on him, and so this is kind of like from this point on, she's kind of smitten by him. It's like, oh my god, wouldn't be so great if I could get together with him.
Yeah,
but he's still lovesick over Rose, of course.
Yes, that's right. It's very. You can see also in that first episode, you can see also that Doctor is kissing Martha.
Yeah,
and that's
like I said,
that was a foreshadow. Yes. Yeah.
Well, it was more he was doing it for kind of practical reasons.
Yeah.
He was trying to pass on his DNA to her so that, or something to do with kind of hiding his particular DNA imprint or something.
Yeah, that's right. Because for the Doom was that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, so that whole story, first story is a very adventure story. There's much to do and much happening in that story, and that is a really kick off that she travels further with the 10th Doctor. She also, yeah.
We forgot there's one other connection that Martha has in terms of family connection. Her cousin worked in Torchwood and Canary Wharf, and she was one of the early casualties of the Cybermen. And
yes, that's right.
I think Martha says she always wondered what happened to her cousin, and that was kind of the hint that she had an attachment to the Doctor Who universe already. Even with the whole, she was kind of ingrained into the canon of things by her family.
Yeah. So she chose the Doctor, and they met William Shakespeare the first time in the past.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. And there was a sort of trio of witch like Carionites, could you call that? Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
We are using Shakespeare play of Love Labours One, and that's the Shakespeare Code. It's really a funny story, by the way, with a story that was in the past. It was a long time
Hmm.
after a long time that we saw something, and also a character, William Shakespeare, actually really existed. So that was very funny to see that they made a story about William Shakespeare in that story. You can also see that Martha's character is really strong in that episode. Again, it was a very Martha was a campaign was very quickly introduced in the series. You saw immediately you saw the strong character of her. But also was some things about what is this doctor some and you see some development in her character and also about her feelings with the doctor
Hmm.
because yeah there was a romantic feelings involved in the whole tenure of this,
It
but it was
was
not
it was
answered by the doctor. Doctors doesn't see it at the moment.
it's it's what we call unrequited love.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
and
is what is that yeah.
unrequited love is when you're in love with someone and you don't they don't reciprocate. Like
Yes. Yeah.
there's quite a few characters in Shakespeare kind of are smitten with unrequited love. They're in love with someone and it's not returned. Like there's a
Yes.
um,
Okay. Martha's next trip was to New York in the Undercity. There was early on in the earlier adventure, the Doctor also had visited New Earth with Rose, but and at the moment words she was a sort of rebound companion. By the way,
oh yeah. I think even the
she
doctor
was
was saying
kidnapped
to her
by a
that
couple. Martha was kidnapped by a couple then in that story,
yeah, even the
and we saw
doctor's
also
saying to her quite
Makra.
early on.
Hmm.
Yeah, in that story, they're already, but in the very first initial adventures with Martha, the doctor's kind of saying, "This is only temporary. I'm only going to take you on a few adventures."
Yeah.
Um, but he's reluctant to keep her around because he's just I don't know. I suppose he's maybe scared that because Rose nearly died and Martha might. He's worried maybe about he's worried about her safety maybe. But I mean, I think there's a bit of him that does kind of miss having a companion, but he's still kind of cold to her somehow. I think he's still like he was able to open up to Rose, but now she's gone and he can't quite
Hmm.
open up to her somehow.
Is he afraid to lose her?
I think he's afraid to connect with her at first. I think he's afraid to form an attachment to her because he formed one to Rose and it broke his
Oh
heart,
yeah,
basically.
yes, that's right.
It's like back in
That's the reason of the of is that he's distancing himself of Martha. Or
yeah, and I think so he does say we're only going to do a few adventures together and then I'm going to take you home, and that really kind of gives Martha the hump. She's like,
yeah,
it's a real diss just to be told I'm only tolerating you for now and I'm going to take you home. And obviously, every time he brings up Rose, of course, her heart sinks. Mine does as well, but I'm sure she honest. But
yeah.
yeah,
So in the story of where they almost were killed by the Makra in that story, they also witnessed the death of Face of Bo in that story, and in his final words,
yeah,
you are not alone." This Yana. The whole story in continue in that series. We see that
yeah. The future
things about that.
we see in the future we see in New Earth is kind of, or rather in Gridlock, because the Gridlock set
Yeah,
like the 15 years
great.
on from New Earth. That's Martha's first experience of what the future is going to be like and what future culture is going to be like. And there are moments where her like her the character of her, she's been studying to do medical, and so a lot of her kind of her medical ethics come out there because she's introduced to these characters who are kind of addicted to these neck patches, and she meets a couple, and the woman's using a neck patch even though she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And these are kind of her kidnappers, and so she's kind of quite horrified. And it's like, even though it's a complete alien culture, she kind of has this strong sense of, this is wrong no matter what culture this is. I don't care how much has changed since my time.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of say this is wrong. This is wrong. By my metric, this is wrong, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also, interestingly, the Doctor, like we talked about, the Doctor kind of being closed off to Martha, and part of it is that he hasn't yet told her about Gallifrey, about the Time Lords. Because she asks him about it at the beginning of the story, and he just says, "Oh, maybe I'll take you there one day." It's like, and he tells her about Gallifrey, but he doesn't tell her that Gallifrey's gone.
Yeah.
And so, kind of, it's almost like he's kind of fooling himself. He's going back to a state of denial almost about the loss of Gallifrey.
Yeah.
Like at the end, that he finally tells her.
That's one. That's very interesting what you say. This 10th Doctor is more closed with his feelings when the last there's 14th incarnation with the same face. Actually is more open than this. I discussed that in the latest live stream about the personality of 14th Doctor. There are some differences between the 10th and the 14th Doctor, played by David Tennant. The 10th is more closed, and the 14th is more open, more vulnerable.
Yeah, I think they both. I think the 14th Doctor's kind of matured a bit. He's kind of got a bit more of a handle on his feelings. I think with the 10th Doctor, the only kind of he can get emotional, but it tends to come out in anger, in rage. Like there's still the compassion there, but it's still like he's still bearing a lot of pain, and he doesn't really want to talk about it, if you know what I mean. He still kind of wants to keep that, kind of low, kind of kept that below the surface.
Yeah.
And so he's still quite guarded about stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's a significant moment when he tells Martha about the war. And I think that kind of shows that Martha's she's kind of inquisitive. She's like, she knows when she's being bullshitted, if you know. Sorry, when she's being kind of,
Yeah.
Sorry for my language.
That's good.
When she's being like she sees through lies quite easily.
Yeah.
And so
she's not naive. No, she's not naive.
Indeed, yeah, that's it, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing he does tell about the Daleks and the war, tell about the Time Lord and the Daleks, because in the next story, of course, they meet the Daleks.
Evolution of the Daleks, yes.
Yeah.
That's in 1930 New York City. Hooverville. There are some pig slaves.
Yeah, it's basically they go back to Depression era New York. And it's kind of there's a kind of continuity to it. It's like the Doctor said, I showed you future New York, and this is on New Earth, and this is the original New York, and this is 1930s, the time of vaudeville, and it's kind of, it's supposed to be just a holiday, but the moment they arrive, they read the papers and they read about there's been disappearances from Hooverville, and the story is kind of about the fact that the residents of Hooverville, the people who they've been displaced, like the Wall Street crash meant that they couldn't afford their homes anymore, so they've been turfed out into this kind of this settlement for the homeless, and it's got former rich people who have to kind of mingle with beggars who have always been poor, and And of course, this
And
is
here,
if you
in
know
this
in a
story, you
in
see some courage and compassion of Martha, and also her skills from a nurse. She's is really helpful in that story. People there.
yeah, that's true. And I think it's also the point is, of course, that these are very vulnerable people in a time when the Daleks are kind of looking for um, recruits. They're looking for kind of raw materials, a labor force, and that's what they're doing. They're capturing people and mutating them into kind of these kind of docile, aggressive pigmen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
So after the God of Scarra's defeat, we have that the Doctor returned Martha home, and then we have Professor Doctor Richard Lazarus in the Lazarus experiment.
yes,
And
he's
again, and there
perfected.
we see if we see some more family from of Martha, for example, Sister Tish in that story,
Yeah,
and her also her mother.
a brother as well, and a brother.
Yeah, so they can see some family dynamics in that. Uh,
Indeed, and I think
constant.
this is kind of the point that, like, her family, her parents are kind of they've kind of broken the class barrier, and
Yeah.
like in Britain we have kind of class barrier. We have a kind of and I think for Martha's parents, and I think kind of race plays a part in this. Is that I think her mother very much had the mind that being black in Britain, you have to work twice as hard to get half as far ahead, and she probably grew up at a time back in the 70s or 80s when it was still really really tough, and so she feels like I've worked hard to get us this far, and so she's very hard on Martha and saying, "Look, you can't just slack at your studies or your career in medicine. You've got to kind of keep your eye on the ball. You've got to work twice as hard to get far ahead, half as far ahead, rather. Sorry." And so she is immediately suspicious of the Doctor because it's like, how the hell has Martha got this seemingly new boyfriend now, and why is she having a boyfriend? A boyfriend is having a relationship that's going to kind of complicate her career,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how she sees it. And she's very uncompromising about that. And she's very, very uncompromising in her hostility to the Doctor. She's like, "Who is this guy?"
Suspicious. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's suspicious, territorial, I suppose. She Martha's someone. She's. I suppose you could call her like there's a term called helicopter parenting, where you really kind of as a parent, you really kind of treat your child, even though they're kind of grown up. You never quite allow them their independence. You've got to kind of you're overprotective to them to a degree. You're kind of quite guarded about them. You kind of feel like you've got to chaperone them when they're with. Especially when it comes to relationships, it's like if my daughter goes on a date, I'm going to be the chaperone. I'm going to be there to make sure the guy she's with is nothing I consider dodgy.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of thing. She's a very controlling parent in that regard, and it's difficult, of course,
Yeah.
because at the same time she's dealing with this divorce from her father and from Martha's father, and they're with he's um with this with this kind of almost this footballer's wag kind of thing.
Mhm.
So there's kind of conflict there. It's almost like a drama every other week between the two of them, and so yeah, she's kind of very much she's very guarded about Martha, about her daughter, and
Yeah.
I suppose she's
That's
guarded about
right.
all the children really.
Yeah, that's right. That's one of the strong things about this series, about this episode, is that you can see really the family in a good role, strong role. So
Well, yeah, but the
you
thing
can see
is,
the influence. You can see the influence of the family on Martha.
by doing that, I think her mother's kind of only encouraging Martha to go against her mother more, and
Yeah.
yeah, I get the sense it's the first time she's disobeyed her mum in a long time. It's like usually I think Martha did look up to her mother and recognize her as the authority of the household, but now she's kind of the Doctor's kind of telling her, "No, we've got to do the right thing here. Don't do what your mum says." And Martha's kind
Yeah.
of it's that conflict, and Martha goes with the Doctor, and it's like by being as controlling as she is a mum by being controlling as she is. She's kind of caused Martha to decide, no, I'm going to do the opposite of what my mum says. It's like it shows that sometimes as an overbearing parent, you can sometimes cause your child to do the very thing you try to stop them doing. You only encourage them to rebel all the more by that.
Yeah. Right. So we see in
So
this, yeah.
So Martha's quite headstrong, but like she's respectful to her elders, she's respectful to her mum. But there's a breaking point where she says, "No, I know I'm right in this. I'm going to be headstrong about it. I'm going to take a stand and say, no, I'm doing what I think is the right thing to do."
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So we see in the end that she no longer wanted to be just a passenger. So the doctor invited her aboard the TARDIS, and now of that moment on, she is now a full-time companion after this episode. It was still some trips, but now she wants to be a real full-time companion. So from this on, she's now full-time, and so she goes to look at the story of 42.
Well, yeah, I think it's kind of
that the ship are falling towards the sun.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's kind of. It shows that the Doctor's attitude to her has changed to a degree. Like he had kind of.
Yeah.
He was obviously very protective of her. He didn't, he was kind of always telling her to stay out of harm's way. And at the end of this, he's desperately trying to protect her from the Lazarus creature.
Yeah.
It's like seems no matter where he goes, Martha will always be in some degree of danger. And he saved her life. Now he could just leave her there and say, "Okay, our travels are going to be dangerous. It's better, but I'd rather you stay home and stay safe." But she ends up kind of demanding to come along, and he does give in. He agrees to have her for the ride. Yeah, have her for the adventure kind of thing. And
yeah, in the episode, the next episode, she played an instrumental role in saving the ship. And Doctor found himself possessed as well in 42. So she had a big role in saving the Doctor and also her own life in that, and also the crew. Yeah.
Yeah, that's because there was a general. There's like a particular. There's a particular code to access a particular area of the ship, and it depended on general knowledge. And so it was that kind of, Martha fortunately had that, the Doctor's kind of, because the Doctor usually gives the companion this phone with an upgrade that allows it to actually, so you actually can contact your family across the timeline. Like, for instance, she's in the 51st century, but she's in the 51st century, but she can phone her mum and talk to her, even though her mum's back in the 21st century. They can have that conversation across the timeline. So there's a gift from the TARDIS. And and because of that, she's able to phone her mum and ask her for try to get general knowledge questions from her. But also, when Martha ends up in the escape pod and it looks like she's going to end up crashing into the sun, she has to phone her mum, and she can't tell her the truth about this adventure, but she phones her just to say goodbye, just to talk to her one last time. And it's kind of quite sad. And I think this is probably the first time Martha really has accepted the Doctor's right. This is dangerous. I could die here. And what's that? It's like the impact of, well, what's that going to mean for my mum if she loses me? How's she going to get over that kind of thing? So that was a big moment for Martha, I think, and it shows her character. She's always got that tie to her parents, and she always kind of. This is what Martha will do if she's facing death: is she'll call them straight away and make sure she says goodbye.
Yeah.
And of course, the Doctor saves her.
So this episode 42 was she was really helpful and to rescue everyone, especially also the Doctor. But the next story,
yes.
No,
that's right. That's right. She when the Doctor's afflicted with the sun creature, the sentience of the sun, the Doctor becomes her patient. She has to look after him because he's kind of burning up, and she becomes the Doctor's carer, her protector, like her kind of the instinct of being a nurse kicks in then,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and
Again.
yeah,
So
so she becomes the doctor's carer.
yeah, that's right. And we jump now in the next story about was it the double story, Human Nature and the Family of Blood.
Hmm.
Also,
Yeah, that's where they have to go.
interesting story.
Indeed, it's where they go back in time, and
Yep.
they're being hunted, aren't they, by
Yeah, that was
the
about
family of
that
blood?
used the chameleon arts to turn himself into a human with no memory or knowledge of the doctor.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, were chasing him, and so he must hide himself. And he used a pop watch. You can see that
Hmm.
in these two stories. The story in the double episode. Okay,
Yes.
then John Smith. John Smith is a name is appeared very much in the whole Doctor Who story. John Smith was also was one the first time John Smith was in, I think, in the second Doctor story introduced. Also John Smith or third, I don't know. John the stand
He
usage of the name John Smith.
he has used it as an alias. Yeah. He
Yeah, in third Doctor, John Pertwee, I think, my first time John
yeah,
Smith. Yeah,
yeah.
so
But
he
in this,
also uses that name in this story.
yes,
Yeah. And
Martha.
it is also that
Basically,
he's falling in love with that nurse in that story. And you can see some that actually Martha is some sort of jealous.
well, Martha has to look after the doctor in this. She's the only one here who actually knows his true identity, and
Yeah.
he's like even the doctor's forgotten because the doctor's now he's no longer the doctor. He's John Smith. He's human, and he's got no
Yeah.
memory of being the doctor. And so she has to kind of look out for him because the doctor has kind of warned her. Look, if you this is what you have to do to break the spell. If we get hunted anyway, then you're the one who's entrusted to try and restore me to my old self. And in the meantime, you got to kind of uh, look out for me a bit because it's going to be a very new experience for me, and I'm not going to have the know-how anymore. I'm passing the know-how to you because I'm not going to have it anymore.
Yep.
And so then, of course, because he's like she says, that she notices that he's falling in love with Mrs. Redfern, isn't it?
Yeah. Joan Redfern.
Joan Redfern, yeah.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
notices he's falling in love with her, and she's really sad about that. She's thinking, look,
Yeah.
why couldn't it have been
Had to
me? But
go and yeah, had to go and fall in love with a human, and it wasn't her.
indeed, yes,
Yeah. So they see also that something that says says something about Martha also. This thing, this story in this way.
yeah. And it's difficult for Martha in this because she's actually it's, it's like early 1900s, isn't it? And so it's like the
Yeah.
racism of the time was pretty horrible, and there's various prefects who kind of make very racist taunts at her, and she's adopted this role of a maid, and so she's
Yeah.
looked down onto
Shortly
for
before the
being
First World War. Yeah.
yeah. So she gets looked down on a lot, and she has to suffer these horrible racist prefects who just see her as you know.
Yeah. Um, then we have one of the most popular episodes of Doctor Who fans. I think Blink.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
she's
well,
only briefly in it.
that's also yeah, but
Just
briefly, very briefly indeed, because we have
yeah.
it's much. You can see we see the Doctor and the Martha very shortly, but yeah,
Mhm.
you see Sally Sparrow in this story. So you can debate about it, if it is also a sort of companion of the Doctor, or something, sort of, but but we can
She
see
could have been, I suppose.
Doctor took a job as a shop girl in sort of only thing that we can see about
Yeah,
Reblan.
pretty much all. Hmm.
Yeah. Further travels with the Doctor. We have Utopia,
Oh
and it
yes,
is also there.
that's when.
Also, there is Captain Jack Harkness also in it, in that episode.
Yep,
In
and he is a.
Cardiff.
The moment they meet, Jack starts flirting and with
Yeah.
her, and the Doctor's like, go, you're always flirting with people, and Martha's like, I don't mind, I don't mind. She's kind of a bit taken with him. She's quite charmed by Captain Jack, isn't she?
Yeah. And we can also see that the reveal of the Master in that episode.
Yeah, and
Because of
Martha is a little bit.
I earlier mentioned, Yana, you are not alone.
Yeah, the
And
funny
that
thing
is
is,
the
it's actually
reveal.
it's a conversation that the Doctor, Captain Jack, and Martha are having, where they talk about the Emperor Dalek, the Time Vortex, Rose, and the Daleks, the Cult of Skaro, and all that. It all begins to trigger back memories for the Master, and the Master's basically he's done what the Doctor did. He's turned himself human, so that he still thinks of himself as Professor Yana, and so all these words about the Daleks and the Emperor and the Time War is starting to remind the Master of his old life, and so that's when he opens the fob watch and he's transformed back into the Master of Old. So in a way, it's the presence of the Doctor and Jack and Martha that causes the Master to revert to form. And like if they hadn't arrived, then Professor Yana would probably have remained Professor Yana. He would
Yeah.
never have remembered, possibly.
There's also the connection with the fob watch earlier on. Again, the
Ah,
fob
yes,
watch was.
and that's the thing. It's like when Martha finds out that the Professor Yana's a Time Lord, she's saying,
Yeah.
one of your people's alive. You should be happy, shouldn't you? And she doesn't know that not all of the Doctor's people were great, and that some of the Doctor's people were evil, and the Master was the most evil of them. Well, him or Morbius, I suppose, were the most evil of them. And
Yeah.
so then that, of course, that leads to Last of the Time Lords, doesn't it?
The sound of drums.
Sorry, Sound of Drums, yes.
Yes, but because there again, there's a big role for Marta to do something. She got
Yeah, when the Master regenerates from Derek Jacobi to John Sim,
yeah,
and
Harold
that's when Martha
Saxon.
says, "I recognize that voice," because
Yeah,
she's heard like him as Professor Saxon, sorry, Mister
Harold,
Saxon, Mister John
the
Saxon
Prime Minister.
on Earth, and he's this. Yeah, he's kind of he's been in the lead up to run to become the new Prime Minister, and she says, I voted for him. He's very likable. He's you know, and the Doctor actually has to ask a question about it. So what is it you like about him? And that's when she can't quite explain it, and that's when the Doctor says, you've been almost hypnotized to like him by this Archangel network effect,
Yeah,
this global Archangel network. It's made you kind of trust him in a way that you wouldn't normally, and there's no real basis for you to trust him. Like if you're able to apply critical thinking, you wouldn't necessarily like this guy. But and that's kind of it's kind of it's the first time, it's one of the few times we've seen the Doctor actually having to snap a companion out of a fallacy. Like usually, I suppose in the old series, if there was if the Master was running for Prime Minister or something, then usually you would expect the companion to kind of be of the instinct, yeah, I never liked him. There was something I didn't trust about him. But in this, it's like, no, that she's been influenced. She's been influenced even before she met the Doctor, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
And so the Doctor's kind of having to awaken her to the fact that the Master is the evil figure he is.
Yeah.
And the Master does something he's not normally done, which is he actually goes straight for Martha's family.
Yeah.
Like
She's
he already had he was already
manipulating.
trying to use. He already had kind of agents at a house, at a
Yeah.
mother's house, and they convinced her parents that the Doctor was the evil one. The Doctor was the dangerous
Yeah.
troublemaker one,
Yes,
and
that's right. Yeah.
that was
Manipulation.
a way to try and it was a way to gain her mother's confidence so that she'd help them track the Doctor down. But
Yeah.
the Master's ulterior motive was he wanted he wanted to entrap the Doctor, and when that goes wrong, he basically arrests Martha's whole family and
Yeah.
basically holds
Take a
them.
prison to the Valiant. Yeah.
Yeah, he's using them as hostages, and he's just
Yeah.
he's treating them with no respect whatsoever. And when Martha sees that, she's like, "I want to kill this guy," and
Yeah.
she's kind of shocked that the Doctor's saying, "Well." There's kind of the conflict of the Doctor's like, no, that's not how we do things. Um,
Yeah.
and
So
he's the last of my kind. I don't want him killed. I want him captured. I'm going to try and take him into custody. But Martha's like, I'm not going to, she's like, I'm too angry to even consider showing this guy mercy or anything.
yeah.
And
So yeah. So at the end, Martha is teleported back to the Earth with a mission to defeat the Master. At the end.
yeah, because the Doctor and Captain Jack get beaten immediately, and
Yeah.
the entire Earth has been decimated by the Toclophane. So it's all on her shoulders completely now. It's like she's been told by the Doctor that she has to, she basically he gives her a mission,
Yeah.
and it falls to her to achieve the mission. Um,
Yeah.
and so she spends a year. In fact, they did do a novel about it. Apparently, like they do kind of these books on the side of the main show, like they did the Clockwise Man and quite a few books for all the Doctors really for each season. Like you kind of get 6 books on the side each season, and one of the books for the 3rd season was Martha's. I believe it was Martha's story, or was it Martha's journey? And that actually tells you the stuff you didn't see from In End of Time, where you actually see Martha traveling the world and telling the survivors of Earth her story about the Doctor.
Yeah.
And so basically, her mission is to plant in everyone's mind the idea of the Doctor as the hero who can save them.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, but at the end, whole thing is solved, and we see that in the end of that, uh, the Last of Time Lords. We see that she says goodbye to the Doctor. But the Doctor wanted to stay, that she wanted her to stay with him, but Martha felt that her family needed her more. So and she also needed to get out of what she saw was an unhealthy relationship of her, the hoping the Doctor would finally notice her. But actually, she
Yeah, she's
stayed on Earth,
decided
completed training as a doctor.
she 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 decided she's got to be hard on herself about this and say, look, the
Yeah,
Doctor's never going to never going to love me the way I am in love with him, and so I've got to. And it's also,
mhm,
she's got a year back. I mean, it was a bit of a
yeah,
silly cop out, the whole, times reversed, the Doctor's got magic powers, he's undone everything. But for her, it's like, you know, I've got another year, I've got to think, what would I have done with that year? And she's,
yeah,
because I think it's because she's traveled the world, she started to think, you know what, I could do more than just pine over the Doctor. who's never going to notice me. I could actually, I kind of, I don't have to live my life simping for him. I can do so much more. It's and it's that feeling, that yearn to grow a bit and feel like I'm not growing in this relationship with the Doctor at all. It doesn't matter what I do, so I'm going to leave.
Yeah, that's right. And her story doesn't end in this way, because we see her now later on. She was later recruited by units, and then she works with Torchwood. We can also see her in Torchwood.
Yeah, because she got on quite well with Captain Jack, and I think that's kind of he
Yeah.
probably gave her a way in. Yeah, that was.
It was with
I think there was some. I think there was some. I think Russell had said something about he was a bit like they did special kind of when they did kind of pre-watershed repeats of Torchwood where they kind of edited out the more graphic moments because he knew that having Martha in Torchwood would probably incentivize kids who usually watch the main show to watch Torchwood. He said, "Well, look, I'm going to do a special toned down version of Torchwood, a kind of a pre-watershed repeat." Because that's what we had here. We sometimes, like Buffy or Angel, when that was on, there'd be a kind of a pre-watershed repeat and a post-watershed repeat. And the pre-watershed, they cut out some of the more extreme violence. They cut out any of the bad language. And obviously, in the later post-watershed repeat, you saw all the more adult stuff. So it was the idea of, kids are allowed to watch this version of this earlier version of Torchwood, but not the late night version. So that was kind of the, that was the thing, and that was necessitated because Martha was in Torchwood in series 2.
That's right. So there was some work with Torchwood, and again, back at unit, she became engaged to her boyfriend Thomas Milligan. It's in Sontaran Stratagem in Poison Sky, and later we see her with Mickey Schmidt. By the way.
Yeah, they briefly meet at the end of Journey's End, and then they somewhere along the line they get hitched, don't they? I think it's probably just Jack kind of introduces them because Jack has known both of them, so that's probably where they hit it off, I suppose.
Yeah, because you had some reunion with the Doctor, but because in that story of Sontaran Stratagem.
Also about Journey's End.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Last of the Time Lords again, in that Martha has to kind of go it alone here. She has to work independently off her own back. She has to travel to Germany, and she has to pick up the Osterhagen key, and she's given the instructions, you might have to use this key. And the key is basically, she knows what it is. She knows it's a suicide weapon.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's right.
And it's interesting this because she's a doctor. She's kind of got this idea of, fight to save the patient if you can. And, I think that's even why in the end she follows the Doctor's instructions of, I'm not going to, because basically in Last of the Time Lords, she said she was on this mission to find this Time Lord killing gun, and she had, this scattered parts of a Time Lord killing gun. And it turns out that was a red herring. She lied to the Master that was a mission. And he says, look, I wasn't told to kill you. And it's like, I think the Doctor knows that, look, Martha, she's a doctor. That's not her nature. It's not what she's destined to do. It's not what I'd wanted to do. It's not what she'd, I don't think she'd never be the same if she did go through that. And so, but in Journey's End, she's like, well, I'm going to use this key to potentially destroy the planet, just to spare the human race any more suffering under the Daleks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it might come to the point where there's life isn't worth living anymore if the Daleks take over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's like it'll destroy her, but it'll destroy the human race, but also destroy the Daleks with it, if you know what I mean. And the Doctor is horrified that she would do that.
Mm-hmm.
But but she's convinced that there might be, and I think it's a case of for her, it's a reliving of the year of hell during Last of the Time Lords.
Um, okay, where are we? That was also that story with Donna and Marta, the Poison Sky, and also the story about his daughter Jenny,
Yeah,
progenation machine. It's also
yeah,
Marta in that with Donna together, and again
yeah, but they get separate.
yeah. She don't
Yeah,
want to travel anymore with the doctor, but she came. The TARDIS dragged them into the time vortex, Poison Sky, and then I have the story about the doctor's daughter.
well, yeah, because
So there's some.
sh- she's obviously happy to see the Doctor again, but she's done with the adventuring and she's done with kind of following him around. She's decided, look, I do want to see him again, but I've got my own life. And I've got, I'm engaged to marry someone, for God's sake. So she didn't want to be taken away from home.
Yeah.
She had things to return home to, and so that they're being taken. Her journey to that war with the Hath. That
Yeah.
was she never wanted. She would never have signed up for that. That was kind of that they were just dragged off to that by the the crisis of the TARDIS being taken off course by the to the Doctor's daughter.
Yeah. But it was a story before what you already mentioned, Johnny, and it was a story before this, the about
I know. Yeah.
doctors and also the Stolen Earth. With that was, by the way, a good, lovely story because we see in that story we see Torchwood and Sarah Jane Smith together
Yeah.
with the doctor.
Hmm.
So that
Yes.
was a very funny episode. I really enjoyed that episode because of Sarah Jane Smith in it and Torchwood all together.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we see,
That was fun.
yeah, you see also Mickey and Rose,
Mhm.
and Donna, Jackie, and
Yeah.
also Jack, I think. Yeah,
It
also
looked
with
like
the Torchwood.
Jack. Yeah.
Torchwood, yeah, Quinn
Mm.
Cooper and yeah, that's a really funny story. And so Martha has a big part in the story of the Ten Doctor. So and it's very funny fun to see the Martha in Doctor, but also with Torchwood, and so you can see some really a good development in her character in during the stories. So it's very fun to
Yeah.
see that.
I think it's kind of it's just I just think it's a shame in a way that a big character moment in Last of the Time Lords leads to the whole business of the Doctor being it's so cringe when the Doctor's revived by the power of prayer. It's like nah, and that's a defining kind of moment of Iraq. It's like it didn't really it's a bit silly.
Yeah.
I thought.
So, and what we know further about her is that she does some freelance work in later on with Mickey, and she's then married.
She's the her journey has been a bit of a test of her kind of intrepid quality, a kind of quite very independent, intrepid. Like so, she can function as a mercenary quite well.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, what I mean?
Um, but I think okay, I think we have now discussed Martha
Yeah, yeah,
in a good way extent. So we already mentioned that she was intelligent and brave and kind, and and also great sense of humor. There was also a great sense of humor with the Martha character. So
Mhm.
very good. But we will now continue with Donna Noble, and that's a very interesting one because he's a companion of the 10th Doctor and also the 14th Doctor.
Yeah.
And we see her
Yeah,
in first time we see her in the Runaway Bride,
yeah,
but
she's
then she's
about to
not a
get married.
companion. Yeah,
No, she's about to get married to Lance, isn't she? And one of her office workers. Yeah, she met him in the office. They got married. They got kind of engaged, and she was going to get married on Christmas Day. It's like, God, it's the campus thing ever, kind of a Christmas wedding. And she's all set, and for some reason, when she approaches the aisle and she's kind of she's about a big moment, um she starts to teleport, and she finds herself landing in the TARDIS.
yep,
And she's really scared, but she's kind of she cloaks it in anger, and she's kind of furious at the Doctor for having interrupted her wedding, kind of thing. And she's very impatient. She thinks this guy's an idiot and a fool, and she's just she goes very much into ferocious kind of combat mode with him. Do you know what I mean?
yep. Some family background. She's the only daughter of Sylvia and J. of Noble, and also the granddaughter of Wilfred Mott. We discuss later.
Yeah, it's
Um,
true.
also, she is in beginning we see some things about her that she is really looking for some information with her mother because she has a job or she's looking for some stability in her life and with job involved
I think
in
I think
in the story of her. Yeah,
her mother's always seen her as a problem child. Like
yeah,
she remembers, like, in her school days, like Donna was always being kind of sent to the referral room for fighting, and so she has this perception of Donna as just this very angry, kind of undisciplined, figure. And she's just like, I want you to kind of get ahead and do something. And so she kind of keeps pressuring Donna to go for a job that it's like she has very, very low estimation of Donna. And I think she's probably glad that Donna's kind of got married to Lance. She probably does see Lance as well. He's successful. Maybe, Donna doesn't have to worry about anything. But that's a kind of a bit of a trait of Sylvia, and it does kind of come to the fore the longer the show goes on. You see that Sylvia has no faith in Donna at all,
no,
and she's quite cutting about her, and she's always kind of nagging her about, when are you going to bloody move out?
yeah,
I think it's the kind of thing they've lived together so long. Donna's still kind of lives at home, and so they're stuck together, and so Sylvia, I think, just tires of Donna to a degree, and she also kind of feels like she's gotten used to just being very critical of everything Donna does, and
yeah,
that sometimes happens in the family dynamic. But yeah, and Donna's kind of she's kind of got quite a bit of a kind of apathetic exterior about it, and she's kind of, well, look, I don't, she's kind of a bit numb to it all.
yeah,
But she was kind of happy to marry Lance at first, and then the Doctor finds out that Donna's being hunted by these by these Santa robots, and
yeah,
someone is trying to hunt Donna down, and it's something to do with the fact that Donna's been she's been kind of almost pumped with Huon particles, and for some reason that's why she's wanted. Someone's trying to hunt her down, and it's as an effect of the Huon particles is what's caused Donna to teleport that first time. Yeah, the whole chemistry that goes on when you've got the kind of the pre-marriage jitters, as it were, and they basically basically because she was it overstimulated the Huon particles in her and caused her to teleport into the TARDIS, where where there was a sympathetic Huon particle in the TARDIS itself. And the Doctor's trying to figure out the mystery to that, and it's to do with the fact that the Huon particles will allow the Rachnos to release her eggs from the center of the Earth. The
Mhm.
idea is you send her down to to meet the spiders, and that will awaken them from their slumber.
Yeah. So, but she's after the Runaway Brides. She doesn't travel with the Doctor. That's very later on. Right.
Okay, there's two things that happened. First of all,
Yeah.
she was in love with Lance, and then she found out that he was an agent of the Rachnos, and
Yeah.
that he was just a complete cad all along. He'd lied to her about loving her, and she thought the world of him, and he thought nothing of it. He just basically just tells her that I couldn't stand you. It was a chore to be with you. You were just stupid, you're shallow, this and that. And he's really, really hurtful and cruel to her. And he just basically destroys her, and he just tells her how he can't stand her as a person. And this is Donna's not used to this in a way. It's even a mother was never kind of quite hurtful like this with her words, and it's so devastating because she thought she was building something with Lance.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of it's disillusioning to Donna, of course, and it's kind of making her realize that everything she took for granted, she's kind of comfortable in this kind of state where she's living with an overcritical mother and nothing ever impresses her, but so why even try?
Yeah.
Um, and she was comfortable with the idea she was going to get married, she was going to do the normal thing, and the in that day suddenly it's all turned on its head, and she's like nothing's certain, and then she kind of comes to trust the Doctor, but then he decides that he's going to be ruthless, and he decides to release the grenades. He says, "Look, my people fought a war to destroy the Rachnos, um, and so I'm going to finish the job. You wouldn't surrender, and so I'm going to destroy you to save humanity." And the Rachnos Queen is horrified, and Donna's horrified as well because she's never seen this ruthless side to the Doctor. The side of the Doctor that will say, "Look, I am a man of peace to a point, but sometimes I have to be ruthless." And
Yeah.
it's so Donna's the reason Donna says I don't want to go with you is she's saying I'm I'm kind of horrified at what you did. It's a bit like Tegan's reaction in Resurrection of the Daleks. It's like
Yeah. That's
Tegan,
right.
I think, was a bit horrified. She was horrified at how ruthless the Doctor turned there, and it's like but all this time when she was going through that business with the being rebuffed by Lance, and it's like she clung to the Doctor as her anchor, and suddenly the Doctor's shown this really cold streak, and she's this really traumatic thing has happened, and she's like, I suddenly see him in a much colder light, a horrible light now. Um,
Yeah.
and so she said, "Look, I can't travel with you anymore. You scare me to death, basically." And
Yeah.
also, it's like I think the telling moment is when she looks at because Lance was basically ended up being the Rachnos' sacrificial lamb instead. The Rachnos sent him into the pit instead, and she goes, "He deserved it." And then she kind of thinks it says, "No, no, no, he didn't." It's like she's second guesses herself. She realizes, "No, I didn't mean that." It's like you know, I, she's kind of still coming to terms with the fact he's died, and that this is a kind of the Doctor's life is steeped in death, and it's not a good thing ever. It's just even as much as she hated Lance toward the end, as much as she wanted revenge on him, it's like she realizes, no, I don't mean that. And it's like I think that shows the Doctor she's got a conscience about her. even for a
Absolutely.
cat like Lance.
Yeah.
And she says she spends the next year saying, I miss that. I miss that. I miss that adventure. It's like she's
Yeah.
been shown some excitement in her life, and she's trying to hunt that
Yeah.
excitement.
You see that also in Partners in Crime.
Yeah, she tends to get as close as she can to kind of any suspicious activities at all, in the
Yeah.
hope that the doctor might turn up and he'll investigate as well. So yeah,
Actually,
in the
she's
hopes that
searching for
we
the
might have another.
doctor. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, she's searching for the doctor.
she's
Yeah.
hoping for a chance encounter with him again, which is a bold
Yeah.
risk because it's like she's kind of pinning us hopes on something that might never happen.
With adipose.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
Yeah. They they meet each other on an yeah. What do you call it?
yeah. They meet each other across a window, and they have to kind of mime at each other. And he's like, "What are
yeah.
you
It was
doing there?" And she's like, "I've been reading the
coincidence.
internet." And
Coincidence. That's the word I was
yeah,
looking for. Coincidence.
yes, that's it.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
it was very fun to see that mimics.
yeah,
And
and
then yeah.
Mrs. Foster that's when they turn and realize Mrs. Foster's been watching their entire conversation. Says, "Are we interrupting you?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's
Partnership crime. And also after that we have
Size of Pompeii.
Travels with the Doctor. Yeah. Pompeii. And
And this
again
is a big
there's
one for
and yeah, again in this story she's also the conscience of the Doctor.
well, yes, because the Doctor, like they've landed
It's
back
the
before
same
the
thing with the Regnals. She is also doing a thing about his conscience.
well, yeah, because they've landed in Pompeii the day before the infamous historical volcano. Like the volcano was so devastating. It was so horrific. Like after in the aftermath of it, there actually has been archaeologists dug up the excavated Pompeii itself, and they saw
Yeah.
the lava had kind of stuck to the people, like they were kind of preserved almost in their final moments, and you could see like the people that would they were captured mid scream as the as the volcano happened, and it's like it's like it's a kind of you don't you can often read about history, read about what happened, but this is you get a vivid impression of what those final moments for these people were like. And so she knows that if there's a volcano, then she sees there's a chance here she can maybe save the people of Pompeii.
Yeah.
And the Doctor's saying, no, that's not how we do things. It's the classic you can't change history, not one line kind of thing. That's his view. It's
Like the
and the
first
Doctor's
Doctor story, the Aztecs. First
yeah,
Doctor story, also with Jacqueline, Jacqueline Hill,
Barbara, Jacqueline Hill as
Barbara.
Barbara, yes.
Barbara is also saying she wants to change the history, but it's not possible. There's also the same example as this.
Well, yeah, it's like the Doctor feels like it's he knows the history has to follow a certain path and
Yeah.
course, and he's like, we're not here to fix that. We're not here to change history. We're here to this terrible tragedy. It has to happen. It did happen. Um, and the telling
But they
moment is when
rescue your
towards the
family.
end
Yeah.
they both leave. Basically, he decides to leave, and Donna, he almost abandons Donna actually because that's how determined he is to leave. And I think he's like he's running away from the tragedy and towards the end. Once the volcano happens, he's like, no, I'm going to leave. I'm going to do nothing. And so she's with him at the end, and finally he's saying to her, look, this is what it was. This is what it's like for me with Gallifrey. I can't go back and undo that. If I could, I would, but I can't. It's not possible. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of it's showing
It's
that
a
it's
very
not.
strong comparison. Yes. That's very strong comparison.
Yeah, because it's like the Doctor isn't doing this because he's cruel or spiteful or anything. He's not naturally callous. He's just, look, I want to save them. It's not allowed. It's against the rules. And I think for whatever reason, Donna's pleading, just save someone. It speaks to him and he says, look, it's like he wants to break the rules and she gives him kind of the prompting to do it,
Yeah.
And so he basically decides, I'll go back and I'll save the family. And I think for Donna, this is a crucial thing. Look, if you're not going to save anyone, then I'm out. And so it's like, it's almost like saving someone is a remedy to me. It makes a huge difference to me.
Yeah. And actually, they save.
And,
They save Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor.
Yeah, that's right. They save his family. Yeah, so it's like this. Because I think that's it for Donna. She's like, the reason it's important to save someone is like just she can't come to the end of this and feel like she's done nothing good at all. She feels like she has to do some good. That's the only way she can live with this, and so that's kind of what she said. Look, we can't save everyone, but we can save someone. And the Doctor said at the end, "You're right. I sometimes do need someone to tell me to, So it's kind of the Doctor recognizes that he has companions for a reason. They remind him of what the right thing to do is sometimes.
Yes, that's right.
And if
you see the really strong, and that is why one of the reasons that this is a very strong combination, 10th Doctor with Donna, because you can see that Donna is really improved the Doctor, and also all the backward, also the other way. They still really make each other better.
Well, I mean, technically, the Doctor's kind of right to a degree that if you change the path of history, it can have terrible consequences.
Yeah.
And so he's being as careful as he can, and but Donna's like, well, look, do something good.
Yeah.
She's kind of the human element that can't quite cope with the idea of doing nothing. The human instinct to do something is very, very strong in her.
Yeah, that's right.
To help if she, yeah.
Yeah, she really wants to influence the Doctor to do good things. And so we see some sort of pattern. What you can also see with the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi and Clara, and the 12th Doctor is asking to Clara, am I a good man? Because it's a subject is really returning every time with the Doctor. You can see the chemistry between the influence of the companion and Doctor, and vice versa. And
well, I mean, Rose said it herself. It's like part of the journey with the Doctor is that it's about the impulse to do the right thing, do the good thing, and and with the Doctor you can do that. You can make a difference. You can help people. You can make the world a better place in a small way. You can make a positive difference in people's lives for the better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's that's what speaks to people as well. Is the feeling that we kind of do live our lives in a state of helplessness sometimes about what can we do that's good, and the Doctor gives them the chance to. It's just that kind of to live out that instinct, to put that instinct into practice, to to make a difference, to have an effect. Everyone wants to do that, and it's like it feels like when in the world of Russell T Davies's Doctor Who, a lot of the choices for companions are very limited in their personal life. It's like become an office drone or just do the traditional thing, and the Doctor offers them a chance to be the adventurer and be the decider, to make a difference, be the hero,
to explore more things. Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Then we go to the planet of the Ood.
Oh yes. Yeah. The doctors
Because there are
introduced them
some
to.
bad Oods.
Yeah, they find out that the Earth, the Empire of Earth is now this horrible slave industry of Ood. They've kind of lobotomized the Ood and turned them into docile servants. And of
Mhm.
course, this is having kind of a backlash effect where some of the Oods are going mad and are beginning to kill the humans because the Ood have you use these translators, the translator balls. It's a universal translator, and the effect of it is that when the Ood goes mad, the Ood or leads a revolt. The the translator ball can act like a you know, almost like a taser, like it carries a lethal electric shock, and that's how you can kill people with them. And that's what they do when they decide to turn on their masters.
Hmm.
And Donna, I think it's interesting because this is a corporation she's in, Ood Enterprises, and so it's kind of familiar, but it's also that they're dealing in slaves, so it's very it's kind of a very dark twist on a usual career life. So it's like a home, but it's not at the same time.
Yeah.
The most telling moment in the story is when the Doctor is able to translate, like he knows telepathic, like the Uda is setting up this telepathic song, and it's a very kind of very melancholy song. It's about the misery of being an Ood, of being a slave. Now, the Doctor can hear it because he's telepathic. Donna can't, and the Doctor offers her a chance to hear the song. He basically gives her briefly the gift of telepathy to hear the song, and it brings her to tears quickly. He says, "Please, just take that gift away. I don't want to hear this anymore." She can't hear the suffering anymore, and so it's like it's a very human moment. It's you know, and that's kind of where you see the Donna's confronted with something horrific and heartbreaking to the point she can't bear it.
Yeah. So in the Planet of the Ood also there's a reference to the Donna as a Dr. Donna. We can see that develop in during the series what the meaning of that is. So it's stressing out the importance of the Donna character in the story because she has a main role in the whole history of mankind and a big role in the mankind, but she doesn't realize that
No,
at the moment because she's from
indeed
a
not.
very important person.
Yep.
Yeah, we already mentioned Sontar's Stratagem and Poison Sky, where we also have a meeting with Marta also.
Yeah,
We also see
and this is
her grandfather. Yeah,
also where when they first investigate the base the Centaurs are using to make their clones.
that's right.
She's the one who has to kind of wherewithal the nounce to check the sick days. Like she goes, it's like Martha's going, the soldiers are doing the soldiering, the security, that kind of thing. Martha's doing, performing the role of the medical doctor and kind of investigating people, and Donna's kind of doing, well, what do we do in the office? And so she goes through the files of the sick days, and so that's kind of that's her kind of unique insight into the situation.
Yep.
And then there's And then there's the crucial bit in that is when Donna herself is in the the the, the Sontarans have beamed the teleported the TARDIS to their ship while
Yeah,
Donna was still in it,
yeah, that's right.
and the Doctor has to talk her through taking down a Sontaran.
Yeah.
And like, because Donna again, she's on the phone to first of all to the Doctor and to her mother, and her mother's the one who says, "Well, what are you going to do? Like you're so clever." It's like her mother kind of snaps at her because it's such a stressful situation, and that's when her real character comes out, and her real character is just very kind of
Yeah.
there's no faith in Donna at all, and it's just like just don't do anything, Donna. You're useless. You're only going to make things worse, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Don't get any ideas of being the hero. You're not good at it, kind of thing. And it's the Doctor who has to talk her through risking it with the Sontaran, saying, "Just get a hammer, whack that on the back," and she does it, and it's a great moment. It's like, "Oh, back of the neck, I got him," kind of thing. And it's kind of the Doctor's encouraging her to take risks in a way that, whereas the mother's kind of telling her she's no good at anything.
Yeah. So it was also in that story that she agreed with her grandfather that her mother Sylvia should know about her travels in TARDIS. Also, that reveal
Yeah,
in the stories.
yeah,
So because Wilfred Mott is also really this encouraging Donna to travel with the Doctor because he
yeah,
believes in the Doctor in the very early stage.
yes,
While Sylvia is very suspicious, very yeah. Is the Doctor a good person or not? Again,
yeah, mhm,
and also
yeah,
we have the Daughter's Doctor. We also talked about briefly about Doctor's Daughter. That episode also came with that moral thing about that there was some war there, and that Donna also.
Well, Donna kind of she's quite taken with the character of Jenny.
Yeah.
Jenny was kind of bred and cloned from the Doctor's DNA print,
Mhm.
and Donna kind of the Doctor just sees her as a he just basically treats her as a clone, as a drone, as a soldier, and he just doesn't really he doesn't like her. He kind of sees her as just a he doesn't really recognize her as his daughter. And Donna kind of she likes Jenny. She's fond of Jenny, and she keeps saying to the Doctor, "You know what? You got dad shock. You're just in denial of the fact you're a dad now," kind of thing. And toward the end, of course, when Jenny is shot and seemingly killed, it's that's when the Doctor kind of breaks down and realizes he did. He's suddenly really kind of heartbroken that she's dead.
Yeah.
So in a way, kind of he that proves Donna's words right.
Yeah. So after this whole story and also with more than the met Agatha Christie in Unicorn and the
Yeah.
Wasp.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So also some role in that story.
Well, her main role is saving the Doctor from the poison, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like she has to kind of because he's almost speechless with the effect of the poison. He's having to kind of mime to her what he's looking for, and it's like she's trying to use her charade skills to determine what he's trying to tell her, and he says, "Now I need a shock," and so she decides the best way to shock him is just to plant a big snog on him, kind of thing, and that works.
Yeah.
It basically just so he expels the poison, and it's
But there was one thing I was that was more so that Donna was also comforting Agatha when she stopped believing in herself and over her marital problems. She was actually was helping her with her own experience with that between her and
mm,
Nance. So she was she
Oh yeah,
used her
good point.
bad experience to comfort Agatha. This small psychological thing I was noticing, because
Yeah.
that
That's good.
you see really Donna in her, said she really yeah, was actually was helping her with her own experience with it.
Yes. Yeah. Hmm.
So this was very so that says something about the character of Donna. So it was very strong thing about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, the next story.
Sounds the
Oh
library
yeah, the forest. The forest. Yeah, the silence of the library in the forest of the.
of the dead.
Yeah, 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 that. Also, that was also on a very psychological episode. By the
Yeah,
way.
because Donna gets teleported to this virtual world where
Yeah, where
time
she
moves very,
also
very
is married
fast.
and have a family. Yes.
Yeah, it's almost kind of unlocks Donna's secret desire.
Yeah.
Desire is for the thing is, this is kind of like you see this the kind of perfect partner for Donna is someone she can dominate. Like Donna's got a very bossy character to her, and I think she's kind of
Yeah.
if ever there's going to be a relationship, she'd be the one wearing the trousers in it. And as they say,
And
and
this is also the case with the fact in the beginning that her mother also says of Donna that she was also on her when she was 2 years old. She was already bossy. So this is very
yeah,
it's came back in this episode.
yeah. But she also
Bossy creep type.
it kind of reveals that her desire has always been to have children, and so she has in this world
Yeah.
she has children,
Yeah.
virtual children, and she immediately feels a strong emotional connection to them. And like is it Evangelista, the surviving astronaut, is saying, "Look, they're not real. Let go of them. They're not
Yeah.
your real children." And she's like, "Don't you dare tell me that." And Evangelista is right. They're not real, but Donna's like she's already kind of thinking of herself as a mother kind of thing, and she won't be
Yeah.
told that the this virtual world is not real and that it's ending. And
Yeah, this very heart. You can feel heartfelt, but when she realized that it was not for reality, that and that her children was actually not no real children.
yeah, and at the end of the story, of course,
Yeah,
Donna, the doctor's heartbroken because Rivers died,
yeah,
and she's Donna says, are you all right? And he says, and she kind of then kind of lays it on thick. When you say, are you all right? Do you mean you're not all right, and you don't want to talk about it, but because if so, I'm all right. And it's kind of saying, look, I've got grief too. I don't want to talk about, but we both been through it,
yeah,
and that's kind of so it's kind of Donna kind of knows. It's like this, she kind of she understands the doctor a bit by now.
yeah.
Also, I think
Yeah,
well, it's not important now. It's the only other thing is in the Sounds of the Library, it was her. She was the one who was kind of quite kind and compassionate with Evangelista, and even Evangelista was
yeah,
the one that the other crew just saw as a silly bimbo.
yeah. Dumbbell, yeah. I see.
And
Actually, she
Donna
is
was
the one that says to Donna that it is real. Actually the whole.
yeah, because
Well,
what happens is when Evangelista dies, there's this kind of there's this kind of neurological chip attached to her that maintains her
yeah,
consciousness for about 5 minutes after the death, and so it's reaching out, it's calling out to Donna. Where's Donna, the one who was kind to me? And Donna experiences this, and she says, "This is the most horrible thing I've ever known. That someone's consciousness still dying after the body's died, and it's like they're lost. They don't know what's happening to them. And she says this is the most horrible thing she's ever seen. And
yeah,
It's a bit like the Ood song for her. It's like there's kind of moments where the adventure gets too much for her, where she realizes it's a very, very harrowing future universe. So, midnight.
Midnight, yes.
There's not, but she doesn't do much in
Midnight,
that, does
yes.
she? She's enjoying a spa while the doctor goes on his
Yeah.
on his journey.
But we see her in the end hugging and comforting the doctor.
Oh yeah, because
He's really devastated.
there's this running gag with the doctor and Donna and with Rose, the whole thing of like they'll land in a particular environment. Like for instance, when the doctor lands Rose in Tooth and Claw, he's like, they've landed in Scotland, and the doctor puts on this accent, I am Jamie McCrimmon kind of thing, and to pretend he's Scottish as well. And Rose goes along and says, "Oh, I am a Scottish woman too," and the doctor's like, "No, no, don't do that." Just what? Just don't, And it's the same thing with Donna. Like occasionally, like she'll kind of get in the mood of being like when they went back to Agatha Christie's time, like and Donna kind of dressed up as a flapper. Donna's like flapper or slapper. And, by the way, in case you don't know, slapper is a slang word in Britain for it's a very, very misogynistic term. Actually, it's about a woman who's kind of sleeps around a lot. So when Donna's saying that, she's kind of hinting, "Do I look like one of those kind of women?" And I think she does say. I think she tried to get into the spirit of the 1940s. Goes, "Oh, but puts on a bit of a hoity act of kind of, I'm very posh too, and I've been to these grand parties kind of thing," and that's when Donna goes, "No, don't do that, just don't," kind of thing. Just you're not good at playing that role, kind of thing. But the end of Midnight is when that's turned on its head, because the Doctor's just experienced this creature that's basically learns very fast. And it learns very fast by imitation of people. So basically, he's had this long conversation with this alien creature that does nothing but repeat back what he said to it. And it doesn't matter what he says, and it just won't stop doing so. And so, the Doctor kind of he makes a remark about he makes this kind of this particular saying of his, "Multa bene," and Donna says it back to him, "Multa bene," and the Doctor kind of freezes a bit and goes, that reminds him too much of what he's experienced, and he's like, that really unnerves him now. And so when he says, "No, don't do that, just don't," he really means it. This time he means it. It's like, don't. It's a sensitive point for him, kind of thing, and it shows almost he's been changed by this, and the dynamic has been changed by this. That kind of banter, that kind of ritual of "don't do that, just don't," is kind of taken on a serious turn now.
Yeah. So
I think that's the point, though. It's like Donna wasn't with him. Like he went on this journey with these humans, and he thought, he kind of mingled with them. He thought he got on well with them, and then this creature, this manipulative creature, managed to turn them into a rational, panicking mob who were prepared to throw him to his death because they didn't trust him.
Yeah.
And Donna wasn't there, so it's like it shattered his faith in humanity, and it's Donna's absence was felt there. It's like, Donna would trust me; these humans didn't. I would have thought of any of these as someone who might have been a good companion, and none of them were. None of them could be counted on in the end. They were just they submitted to their worst nature. And I think that's kind of the contrast with Donna. Donna hasn't. Donna's nature is good.
Yeah.
So
next is Turn Left.
Oh, there's a lot to say on this one, isn't there? Because this is
Yeah, that's because
it's a Doctor
but
Light story, so it's Donna's story.
yeah. But the fact is that during the whole series, Rose is trying to contact the Doctor about the things
Yeah.
about the fact that the stars are going out throughout the multiverse. So so Rose is aware of the fact that she needs Donna as well as the Doctor to stop that the stars are going out.
Yeah.
It's also a thing about the beasts are disappearing in Agatha Christie. There are some
Yep.
sort of strange things happening during the series, and Rose is constantly trying to contact the Doctor, but she needs Donna to contact him and to help her
Well,
with that.
well, well. The thing is, this is a universe where Donna's life took a different turn.
Yeah,
She was taken
that's why I
back to
turned
the
left.
moment where
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, like originally she was going to go to the job where she would have, she would have met Lance, and through that she would have met the Doctor and all that, and she would have been there. And in this universe, it's different. Where she's persuaded by her mother to go for the other job, the low rent job, and said, "Look, you're not capable of it. You're not capable of going to the higher class job. You'd be better off with this. It's a I'm sparing you the disappointment of being rejected by them." And Donna kind of folds, and she goes, and because of that, it all goes wrong. The Doctor dies in this universe, and
yep,
basically everything that happened in series 3 happens again, but this time the Doctor's not there. So this time Martha dies in the business with the Jadoon.
yep.
In fact, the whole hospital dies. The entire hospital is just abandoned to die, and the Captain Jack has to sacrifice himself to destroy the. Everyone dies basically. Sarah Jane dies in the events of Smith and Jones. It's actually her who's on the hospital, and she tries to be as heroic as the Doctor, but she dies in the attempt,
Yep.
and Captain Jack and the Torchwood team are the ones who die in the Sontaran stratagem. Well,
Yep.
Jack doesn't die; he survives, but and so
But
basically by the end, more importantly,
this is
the
mhm.
Titanic, the starship Titanic from Voyage of the Dam, that crashes into Earth and it causes like huge nuclear explosion and nuclear fallout, and basically the entire population of London has to be
Was with
evacuated. And
campaign Astrid Perth.
yeah,
Another campaign of the Ten Doctor.
no, and so Donna's basically she and her family have to live through a kind of not quite post-apocalyptic, but you can tell it's the fall of civilization is coming, and the government's having to make emergency provisions, and each provision the government makes is more authoritarian and gets them further and further away from a better tomorrow. And
Mhm.
so it's like in this, they really, like I talked about, the Doctor gives people a chance to not feel so helpless in their life and to feel they can make a difference. But in this, they are really helpless. There's nothing they can do, and they lose their neighbours. They're forced to live with this Italian family, and then the Italian family get carted off to a labor camp, and it's like the world's going completely crazy. Like it's a lot of death and decimation kind of thing, and nothing's getting better. And that's when Rose contacts her and tells her about how she was supposed to save the Doctor.
Yeah.
If she'd saved the Doctor, then all the disasters that would have been prevented by him.
Yeah. And there's also a reason about the fact that Donna the timelines have been converging on Donna since her birth. So there's some importance with Donna in the whole concept, in this whole context. That's the reason why
Yeah.
Rose is contacting her.
Hmm.
So
Well,
that
it's
to
kind of more
restore
that
all things, to restore all everything, Donna needs to sacrifice herself in turn left. Alternate Donna dies in turn left, so that the whole
well,
thing
yeah,
is saved.
there's a chilling moment where Rose tells Donna, "You're going to die,"
Yeah.
and basically they get Donna into this. Like they Union have basically salvaged the TARDIS. It's like it's still just about operating, even though the Doctor's dead.
Hmm.
And because of that, they can actually use the TARDIS to project Donna back to her original timeline. And Donna realizes, okay, you're going to send me back, and I'm going to survive, aren't I? Because I was fated to die in this horrible, hellish world where there's no hope. But I'm going to live on. I'm going to live, and that's when Rose says, "No, I'm sorry," and the penny drops for Donna that maybe I'm going to die after all.
Yeah.
And so she lands. She's basically sent back, and she realizes that she doesn't know how to stop the change events other than by basically, in the end, she throws herself into the road. So she basically becomes a casualty, and as she's dying, Rose whispers in her ear a message for the Doctor. But she was prepared to die to put time right, and because she does that, basically when Donna was about to turn right, and does Sylvia told her, suddenly there's a block of a traffic, and it's like the decision made for Donna. She says, "Well, but I can't go to the job my mum wants me to go to, so I'm going to go to the big job I was, I that she was trying to talk me away from. So I've got no choice. I'll have to go there anyway." And I think it's kind of incentivizes her to, well, I'm going to spite my mum anyway by going.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
because of that, obviously, time is set right. She goes to the job where she would have met Lance and would have met the Doctor, and so time's put right. And then Donna awakens from the whole thing, and she tells the Doctor about that alternative life she's had. She still has the memories of living that life, but now she remembers the Doctor again as well.
Yeah. Um,
So that leads us into
the last,
the finale, doesn't
the
it?
last, yeah, the Stolen Earth and Journey's End. You already mentioned Journey's End, by the way. That is
Well,
then these last episodes deals with the whole Dr. Donna concept, because their meta crisis 10 Doctor thing, Time Lord DNA, that is stimulating her brain through the electric shock of the Dalek. You know what I mean?
I get what you mean. Yeah, I understand. Have
So
you got any notes on this one?
mhm. Because when she's Davros electrocuting her, the electroshock on Donna stimulated her brain and awakened the Time Lord DNA, the transferred her during the two-way biological magic crisis, and gave her the best part of her Doctor in her mind. So that was one of the Ut's prophecies, the Doctor Donna. We see that later in the last specials of the 14th Doctor, by the way, the whole Doctor Donna thing. Some of the memories of
Yeah.
Doctor in her.
Go on. I'm just a bit busy. You'll have to elaborate a bit more on the events of Journey's End to the chat.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, okay, we see in the story against the Daleks, we see that the Donna and the 10th Doctor rush to Earth, find it, and take it from underneath them, and they want to they went to the Shadow Proclamation for help, and they traced the Earth along with their 26 other missing planets to the Medusa Cascade. already earlier mentioned, where the planets had been hidden by being placed 1 second out of sync with the rest of the universe by the new Dalek Emperor. And as the Doctor reunited with Rose, he was shot by a Dalek drone and rushed into the TARDIS with Rose, Jack, and Donna. And as a result, the Doctor began regenerating, but was able to use some of the regeneration energy to heal himself before funneling the remaining energy into a matching by receptacle his spare hand to stop the regeneration. So that was a little of a fake regeneration. And then Darius was taken on board the Crucible and its defense were taken down as Donna was separated from the Doctor, and when the Darius refused to let her leave, the others ran it to the Supreme Dalek, and Donna reached out toward the Doctor's hand. And the TARDIS was being sent to the core of the Crucible to be destroyed. And so the regeneration energy stored in the Doctor's hand interacted with Donna, and created a being who looked like the Doctor but was half human and had the aspects of Donna's personality. So that's a little bit of the explanation about background. And so when Donna tried to use the midlife crisis, then Doctor's C neutrino biological inversion catalyzer on the Daleks, the others electrocuted her, and so the electrical shock on Donna stimulated her brain and awakened the Time Lord DNA already mentioned, and that transferred her to her during two-way biological matter process. It gave her the best part of the Doctor in his mind, so rendering her the Dr. Donna of the Uts prophecy. So that's the little bit of the explanation about that. And what I was already mentioning is that this whole thing about this Dr. Donna, about also the memories of the Doctor, is also already seen in the latest specials, 60 anniversary specials with the 40th Doctor. You see also that really developed this whole thing about the Dr. Donna, and that thing about Meter Crisis, about memories, having memories of the Doctor.
Right. Okay.
Later on is the
Wait. Sorry, I'm back with you. I'm back with you now.
Okay.
Sorry, can you we'll discuss that later because that's later to come. But I want to pick up a few points you've raised. The business where they have to trace the missing planets.
Mm-hmm.
Donna comes in quite kind of, it's essential she's there because she has been paying attention. She's listened to what's been said on the course of these adventures. When in the Fires of Pompeii, she was told that the Pyrovillians evacuated their world because their world went missing. She says, "Wait a minute, Pyrovillia is a missing world," and that's when the Doctor clicks that there's other missing worlds that the Shadow Proclamation haven't taken note of, and she says they've been taken from time as well as space. And I think that probably gives them the idea that maybe they've been taken a second ahead in the future. They've literally been taken out of time and space. And then she points out about the bees disappearing, and that gives the Doctor the clue that the bees left because they sensed something was coming.
Yep.
And she says, "Oh, don't tell me the bees are alien." And he says, "No, not all of them." And then, of course, then in Journey's End, it is her who she has to kind of she's horrified when the Doctor finally gives up on the hunt because they got so close and she had helped him make the hunt. And when he kind of gives up and comes to the end of the trail and he's saying nothing to her, she's devastated.
Mm-hmm.
But then of course, they get the phone call from Earth, from Rose and from everyone else, and that allows the Doctor to lock on to Earth, and so she kind of helps him in that regard. They all help. They all phone and that kind of thing. And she's in the TARDIS, as you say, when it's sent into the vaults, and because Captain Jack was carrying the Doctor's hand from he'd carried it in Doom Utopian. It was still in the TARDIS. So when in the heat of the furnace, so she touches the hand, and there is that kind of strange thing where the Doctor, a new Doctor grows from that hand. The Doctor gets Donna gets quite uncomfortable because this Doctor not only has some of her mannerisms, he has access to some of her memories and some of her and he pinpoints her insecurity. That whole thing of you shout and shout as you do because you're scared that people aren't listening. Your mum doesn't think much of you. Yeah, you got this kind of inferiority complex about you. And Donna gets very kind of sensitive about this. Oh, Donna, look, Doctor, stop it. You're hitting a raw nerve with me. And I think that's kind of. So then, of course, she has the meta crisis, and that's what gives her the great skill, the extra skills to sabotage the Daleks' operations. And the thing is, of course, that the Doctor kind of lost hope at this point. By this point, Sarah was prepared to destroy the ship with that dwarf star, and Moth was prepared to press the Osterhagen key. And like when Martha picked up the Osterhagen key from that German officer, that German soldier, that old woman, the girl kind of pulls a gun on her and says, I'm not going to let you take that. I know what that thing will do. And Martha calls her bluff and says, shoot me then. So it's like she's prepared to die. She's prepared to use the key. And so it's almost like all his companions are doing the wrong thing as far as the Doctor's concerned, except Donna. Donna kind of comes in with the the thing that spares them all from doing the terrible thing. And then in the end, of course, it's just her and Donna. Just him and Donna, right? Him and Donna.
Mhm.
And that's when she's doing the she got the cockiness of the Doctor, the rambling quality of the Doctor, but she's also Donna as well. And then she starts to kind of break down. She starts to kind of and the Doctor realizes this can't go on. You can't have this meta crisis. It's going to kill you. It's going to burn your brain up.
Yeah.
And Donna principally says, "No, I don't want those memories taken away." And right to the end, when he's erasing a memory, she's saying, "No, don't do it." Because to Donna, I don't think she's quite processed that she's going to die, but at that point she feels like she wants to keep those memories. She does not want to go back to who she was before she knew the Doctor. So I think in a way it's like, which I think is I mean, to me that's a fickle choice. It's a kind of if you die, you're not gonna keep those memories. So I think the Doctor was right, but Donna at this point is saying no to him right to the end, and so it's a terrible choice for her. It's the worst thing that could happen. And then of course she forgets it. She's back to being the old Donna, and she doesn't even recognize the Doctor. Like she's just she meets him in the kitchen and just gives him this dismissive look of, yeah, see ya. She does not remember him at all. It's heartbreaking for the Doctor. And that's when the Doctor actually stands up to Sylvia. Now she blames him for what's happened to Donna, but he's kind of having a go at her as well and saying, she was the most wonderful, for a moment she was the most wonderful human. And I think she saved the day, kind of thing. And Sylvia goes, she still is wonderful. She's my daughter. And that's when he snaps and he goes, why don't you tell her that sometime? It's kind of he's saying you've done nothing all her life but discourage her. That was a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
It's kind of he's kind of saying to her, think about if that's what you think of your daughter, why don't you say so? Why was it so hard for you to say it? It's kind of it's the alien looking on the human the way they can't say what they should say. human nature is that they say all the wrong things, and they don't even think about the fact they're saying all the wrong things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Back to my own red
yeah,
line.
yeah.
It was a bit. What we see in the last specials is that all the time, in spite of the fact that the doctor erased her memories, she was still thinking, "I missed something." So he
Mhm.
could not explain that. That's the very that's the very thing. So on one hand, she her memories were erased, but on the other hand, she still had a feeling of I missed something, and we see that developed in the last specials. That thing,
Mhm. Yeah.
because the doctor actually the doctor brings back her memories in some way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I
He
don't
basically
know
has to
if you have
retrigger.
last. Yeah,
And the important thing is he kind of she she doesn't remember, but he basically says to her, "Look, if I remind you, you are going to die." Now, in this at this point, it's like if she doesn't remember and she's not able to activate the Meep ship
yeah,
to cancel the launch, then it's going to destroy London. And at this point, Donna has her daughter Rose. At this point,
yeah,
and that's when Donna's saying, "Well, look, whatever reason you saved my life back then, I'm prepared to die now because my daughter's life comes before mine. I'm prepared to sacrifice my life for hers. I've made the choice." And so the doctor, he basically tells her the words that basically will re-trigger the memory.
yeah.
And the first thing she says was that because before this, the doctor's final parting gift to Donna was a kind of an anonymous tip where he basically gave her this lottery ticket. Like he just mails it in. He gives her he passes Wilf this envelope
Yeah,
because Donna's going to get married to someone else. She has no memories, and so she gets this lottery ticket. And she goes, "What? Why is someone giving me a lottery ticket for my birth for my wedding?"
yeah.
And the next day, of course, she wins. And when the doctor's reunited with her, says, "What happened to all that lottery money you won?" It's like, "How do you know about that?" It's like, well, what happened to it? And she says, "Oh, I gave most of it away to charity."
Yeah. And
And
she doesn't know
that's
why
when
she does that.
yeah, she says to him, "That's your fault. You planted that in me to give all my money
Yeah,
away to charity, didn't you?"
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah. But obviously she's fine because by this point, when she gave birth to a daughter, Rose, it meant that half the metacrisis energy went to her instead. So it's like the
yes,
metacrisis is it's no longer a lethal dose for either her or her daughter.
yes. That's very important that you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ends up being Rose who saves the day, which is that was almost as cringe as the whole being prayed back to health in less than time mods for the doctor. That was cringe. Sorry. Yeah.
So you can see some in fact some things in we see the what I want to say is this we see the relationship between Sylvia, the mother of Donna, and Donna, and we see also Donna
Yeah.
and with her own daughter, and you can see here that then Donna is with her daughter, she's highly supportive of her daughter, while her
Yeah.
own mother is not so very supportive. So there are some differences between the in raising the family.
I think that's deliberate on Donna's part. I think she always kind of had in mind, I want to be the mother to her that I never had.
Yeah.
I, I had a lousy mother, and I'm going to make sure I'm nothing like my mum.
Yeah.
And I always give my child encouragement, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's
Um,
hard because Rose always gets bullied, doesn't she?
yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
Um, so she's again in the first episode of of the specials in Star Beast, we see that she wants uh, selflessly accept this for that she would die, but it doesn't happen because she had already passed the half of the midlife crisis to her daughter. Already mentioned
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
So that was solved. So she
Mhm.
again she travels with the 40 Doctor again,
Mhm.
then Doctor
Yeah.
40 Doctor, and they go to the end space again.
Yes.
Also a thing about end space and about Blue Yonder again.
Yeah. Hmm.
So
And
they
the thing is that they're-
yeah
that's where they encounter doppelgangers of themselves. These creatures
yeah
that don't believe they're even named. We never find out what they're called, but basically they're these creatures from beyond the end of the universe who are trying to find their way back into our universe, and they're very malevolent.
yeah
And the thing is that this kind of really taxes Donna because she's only just been reunited with the Doctor, and she's only just got her memories back. But
yeah
very, very quickly, she kind of susses who the real Doctor is and who the imitator is very quickly. It
yeah
takes a while, and then, eventually, for her the penny drops. Occasionally, he screws up. He kind of mentions Gallifrey being his home world, and by this point, she knows about the timeless children now. Because of the Meta Crisis has given her a psychic link with the Doctor, so she knows kind of thing.
yeah. So from all the previous incarnations, she knows just for all the previous incarnations, she knows everything.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yep, that's right. Um, and then we have the last episode of the specials, last special, the giggle.
The giggle. Yeah. And Donna really has to be the Doctor's rock in this because this is where he's encountering the Toymaker. The Toymaker has the powers of a god, and she's like, "You never give up, Doctor," but the Doctor is giving up because he's not sure he can fight the Toymaker. So the Toymaker has godlike powers, and the Doctor's like, "How do I beat that?" And there's the sense, of course, the Doctor's kind of he's feeling the weight of his years now. And it's like everything he's tried to learn, like he's tried to, yeah, it's like everything he's learned about how to fight evil. It's all coming to nothing. He doesn't know how to win this time. The odds are
Yep.
just that against him this time. And so Donna has to keep giving him the pep talk of, be the Doctor, be the hero I always looked up to. You can
Yep.
do it. I've seen you win against the odds before.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
So um, we discussed Donna Noble in. Can we see really that the Doctor, the companion Donna is a really one that who is you can really talk for hours and hours about her role in the whole Doctor Who story, but you see it also the important role of her, the many sides of the Donna in this whole thing, and actually she's someone of rescue in the whole story of Doctor Who,
Yeah.
and yeah, and you can see there are many fans who really like the combination the Doctor and Donna, and I can understand that because. Yeah,
Hmm.
actually, there are so good actors, and there's a good combination of actors. So
Yeah.
very, very, very good. So,
So
shall we
that's
do the last
Donna, isn't
one,
it?
Wilfred? Wilfred.
Yeah, yeah,
Wilfred is the
right.
grandfather
And
of Donna Mole.
he is, yes. And we first meet him in Voyage of the Damned, but we only briefly meet him. It's like
Yeah.
they teleport down to the planet, as the passengers teleport down to the planet, and they just happen to meet. Oh yeah, the entire Christmas streets are deserted, and the Doctor has to ask Wilf, who at this point is just he's working in the newspapers, and it's like he asks Wilf, "Hang on, where is everyone? Like this is Christmas Day, this is Christmas time. Where is everyone?" And he says, "Oh, they bloody they've gone back to the staying at home because they anticipate like there's going to be another invasion this year, like we had the the Christmas star um, in the Runaway Bride. They had the Sycorax in the Christmas invasion. So it's like, yeah, everyone's kind of just staying home just in case the aliens make trouble again, kind of thing. And
Mhm.
so the Wilf becomes the Doctor's only point of human contact in that episode. And then, of course, he turns out that Wilf was actually Donna's granddad.
Yeah.
Now, I think
Very.
Russell had said that he he didn't really intend Wilf to be Donna's grandfather at first. I think at first he just wrote Donna's father to be the one who would confide in her about, don't
Yeah.
listen to your mum, go for your dreams. If you see the Doctor, go for him. And they actually did film a scene with the actor who played Donna's father, and he was in that episode, and he was in the Runaway Bride, and he was meant to be in Partners in Crime, but apparently the actor died apparently soon after filming that, and so Russell had to change it, and so he created the character of Wilf. And in a way, he kind of linked. He kind of decided, well, I'll bring back Wilf, and I'll make him Donna's grandfather. So, and in a way, that dynamic worked better. It was like because it kind of made a bit more sense for the grandfather to be the one who's kind of undermining his daughter and saying, saying to his granddaughter, "Don't listen to her." He's acting. He's basically being the rebellious grandfather. The one who doesn't do as Sylvia tells him. And Sylvia's quite bossy to both the grandfather and to both her father and to Donna, and so Wilf just enjoys undercutting her, kind of thing. And Donna is his favorite granddaughter.
Yeah, and he's very supportive in the adventures with the Doctor.
Yeah.
It's also a thing, and we can see some things. So as he's really an amateur astronomer and keen stargazer, so he's very interested in things like universe and things. So he's very excited when he meets the Doctor in that thing.
Yeah,
And he also Donna waves. He also waved Donna goodbye when she is traveling with the Doctor. We can see that in the entire Partners in Crime, and that she is waving to Wilf, and then they bye. So she's very
yeah,
supportive. He likes the Doctor from the start.
he's kind of once he realizes that it's the same guy, it's like it's the coincidence kind of mean.
Yeah.
So he kind of basically the penny kind of drops from. It's the same guy I spoke to, when they all teleported down, and it's kind of almost hinting that he realizes that there's something kind of different about this guy,
Yeah.
and coincidences kind of bringing them together. Um, I mean, for most of the series, it's like Wilf kind of he's not quite companion yet.
No,
He's the one who just
supports more. There's
yeah he's
there's
only
a story about that he is involved in the. in Adventures of the Doctor.
Yeah, he's
Also
he's the one who
with
tells
Saxon. Yeah, and especially also
he's the
in
one.
the special with the Saxon Master.
Oh no, Wilf isn't in that. You're talking about End of Time, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, it's he like I think at first the main thing Wilf does is he's the one who kind of gets into danger. Like in
Yeah.
in
For example, also in
Orphanage.
in Sontaran's story, he's also in danger in that trapped in a car or something.
That's right.
Every
Yeah.
time he's in danger, and then the doctor must rescue him every time. But in the last case, it was he was offering his own life actually.
Well,
Doctor.
in Journey's End, he actually goes on the offensive. He picks up his
Yeah.
paintball and he decides, you know what, I got an idea. I'm going to fire this paintball at one of the Daleks' eyes, and that's going to blind them. And so he's still got the soldier mentality there of I'm going to resist. I'm going to fight back against these alien invaders. I'm not going to just give in. It's like I think that's kind of typical of Bernard. He's got that kind of he loves to kind of rebel and
Yeah.
when in Turn Left when they've landed in that parallel universe
Mm.
and Sylvia and Donna trying to get to sleep and the Italians having this sing along and Wilf's kind of they find Wilf is there singing with them. It's like, sorry love, I always love to sing along, and he's the one who really feels for the Italian family when they get carted off, and he's like he just has this horrible because he knows history, he knows kind of what happened back in the day, and he's just devastated that Earth has that Britain has turned into such a authoritarian fascist state, and that he gives a salute to the Italian family, and it's like he just realizes the world's gone to hell, and he's too old to be a fighter against it. He fought, he wanted to fight in that Great War, but he was too young, and now he's too old. If you know what I mean. When the
Yeah.
same thing is happening again, and then the main thing is at the end of because he at the end he does say that he's really sad that Donna's been returned home and her memory's been erased. And he says, look, she was better with you. She and he says she was she went for a dream. She did the right thing. She came out of her shell. She
Yeah.
her horizons have been broadened, that kind of thing. And
Yeah. That's an important thing when the doctor brought Donna back with her memories erased, Wilfred was devastated as he felt she had grown into a better person after her travels with the doctor. So
yeah,
that's why he was devastated. Yes, yeah,
yeah. And of course, in End of Time, that's when the Doctor seeks Wilf out.
yeah,
Um, and he comes to him in tears because everything went wrong after the Waters of Mars episode.
yeah,
And he's like, he's shocked to see the Doctor reduced to this state. And there's a bit of a dense moment where Wilf says to him, "Wouldn't it cheer you up to see Donna again?" And I watched that thinking, "Hang on, you know that if he remembers, Donna will die," kind of thing. Aren't you kind of worried about the risk of that? So
so
in the end, the whole episode becomes about the Doctor and Wilf teaming up to fight the Master together,
yeah,
because the entire world has been turned into the Master. Basically the Master turned everyone into a clone of himself, and Wilf's the one who's kind of urging the Doctor, look, use that gun. Don't you put the lives of the people of Earth, don't you put the master's life above the people of Earth. You use that gun and you save your life, because the Doctor's been told that he's going to die, and the Doctor thinks the master's. But both the Doctor and Wilf think that the master is the one who's going to make the prophecy come true, and the Doctor's saying, "I'm not going to kill the master. I'm not going to kill again." Because the Doctor's been through the Time War. He's still kind of, he doesn't believe in killing, and Wilf's saying to him, "Look, because he does talk about the war. He talks about the dead and the lost family, and he says, look, are the great people in has the master converted the dead as well as the living?" And so that's kind of the triggering point for Wilfred, who says, "Don't you dare let him get away with that. Don't you let him get away with sacrificing the dead." And so he's giving him the gun and telling him to use the gun. And because again, it's Wilf who brings the gun, you see, because Wilf thinks that he's going to have to go to war again. He's been warned by one of the Time Lords. That woman, that mysterious woman who keeps appearing to him and warning him about what's ahead. It turns out she's a Time Lord. And it's basically in the end when Wilf is the one who has to help the Doctor in the fight to get back to the mansion, and he's the one who has to take out he's the one who basically helps the Doctor in that fight. He's good at the combat stuff. He's good at taking out the missiles with the laser cannon. And then he lands on the planet. He says, "Look, because at one point it looks like the Doctor's going to suicide ram the entire mansion." And Wilf's like, "Oh, is this what we're going to have to do? Are we going to have to kill us?" And he says, "Look, I'm okay about dying as long as it defeats the master, but is this what's going to happen?" And that's kind of the nature of the master, of Wilf, sorry, that he's prepared to lay down his life. And when they get into the mansion, and everyone, the master's kind of effect has been reversed, and now suddenly you've got a technician trapped in the radiation cubicle, and it's like, "Help, someone get me out!" And Wilf is the first one who gets him out, and that's the compassionate thing he does. And it's only when the entire aftermath and the Time Lords have been defeated, the Master's been defeated, that's when Wilf is knocking at the window 4 times.
Yeah.
And the Doctor realizes that it's not the Master who's going to kill him, it's Wilf. It's Wilf is the one who needs him to basically save him. And so it's like,
yeah.
And Wilf does actually say, "Come on, just leave me. You can. This prophecy doesn't have to come true. You don't have to die." But the Doctor actually does say, "I'm going to. Of course, I'm going to save you. I'm going to do it." And And
there was a very paternal relationship with the Doctor development, because I was trying to comfort him. He began to cry during their conversation, wanted to be happy, and have someone would make him laugh. So he was really, it was really ook willing also to give up his life to let the Doctor live. So there was a really some important relationship between the Doctor and Wilf. Yeah.
Well, he was kind of the one who was with him in the end.
Yeah. And also he said some things like both Wilf and Doctor admitted that they be proud if they actually were father and son. So so very strong relationship they had. So that's why the reason why I think Wilf is also a companion of the Doctor. So because of this important strong relationship.
Indeed.
Yeah. So you see the influence of this Wilf, and also you see that he is really caring about Wilf. In the latest special, we see a short clip of Bernard Cribbins, and he says that he really is really happy that the Doctor is back, and that he wants that the Doctor to help the world, and He always believed in the Doctor all the time.
Mhm.
He says that
Yeah.
in the scene of Wild Blue Yonder. Um, so and he's very happy that Donna is again has her memories sort of back. And yeah,
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
see in the latest special you can see the emotional relationship he has with Wilf. That
Yeah.
he call him the granddad and something.
Indeed.
So that's the reason I thought yes, it is important to mention Wilfred Mott also with this Doctor, with the 10th Doctor, with the 14th Doctor, because he's a strong influence on this Doctor. So also
Yeah.
in the context with Donna Noble. So Donna Noble and Wilfred Mott are actually for me there are one person who have a strong influence on the Doctor, both
Mhm.
granddaughter and granddad.
Yes. Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, and that's a really strong combination. And yeah, Bernard Cribb is not longer with us, and yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very
That's
grateful that
kind of
he's.
why it's. That's why
Yeah,
it's a little bit kind of it's in some ways kind of quite. You watch his final scenes and it's good to see him, but it's also sad to see him because you know this is the
yeah.
last filming he did, and that it's the last. It's
But I'm very
last
grateful
filming he
that
did.
but the addition of to Doctor Who, he was a very great actor, great person, and I really liked his role in the Doctor Who that he did for us. So yeah, it's very good
Yeah.
to also mention that to also yeah, the
True.
he was 94, 95, I think, 94. So
Yeah. It's a good
but
age though, eh?
yeah, I think we have discussed everything about Donna Noble now and Wilfred.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So we have now talked about 2.5 hours. Two,
Yep.
2:22.
Hmm.
So very long.
Yes. Yeah.
We have also other campaigns of the specials, but I don't know if we can discuss all of them now because we have
No.
uh, we ha- eh?
Well, it's probably. Hmm. Could we talk about them now, or should we do that another stream? Do you think
Other stream, I think. Yes.
another stream? Yeah. Yeah. River Song and the rest. I think
Yeah.
part
Right.
three. That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. That's perfect. So I think it was,
Because
so we have discussed
just going.
Martha Jones, Donna Noble, and Wilfred Mott now. Perfect.
Yeah. Indeed.
Three strong characters of this Doctor.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
Sadeko, I want to thank you for your
Thank,
contribution.
thank you for having me.
Yes. So, yeah. Okay, I mean, do next time we do another stream about campaigns of the 10 Doctor, the rest of them.
Mhm. Yes.
So, again, I want to say to everyone, have a nice Christmas time.
Yes. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone, and see you next time on this channel. And remember, I have a Discord server when we can further enjoy Doctor Who and talk about Doctor Who. Um, Also, I have some playlist on my YouTube page about personality of the Doctor, over about the campaigns of the different Doctors. Um, yeah, and also about the latest specials. I have some live streams, from videos you can watch. So,
Mhm.
and if you want to know more about uh, this channel, you can contact me via Discord or YouTube. So I want to say to everybody, see you next time, everybody. And again, a very Merry Christmas. Bye bye to everyone.
Merry Christmas to all of
Enjoy.
you at home.
Yeah, and enjoy the Doctor Who Christmas special, by the way,
Mhm.
um, with 15 Doctor. So goodbye, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.